time. This is The Other Kenya, and today we're having a discussion that has been led by events that took place starting Monday, the 19th of January. That protest at Langata Primary School, the tear gassing of children, most unfortunate event, but symptomatic of a greater problem that we've had in this country since prior to independence, with a consolidation of land starting on the wrong foot with respect to land grabbing. Of course, that's what I'm talking about. And here to talk about it with us is the chairman of the National Land Commission, Dr. Mohamed Swazuri. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. We've also got Odenda Lumumba from the Kenya Land Alliance. And I'll start with you, Bwana Swazuri. Charity Ngilu, in her statement, let's just start with things that are most recent. Charity Ngilu, in her statement to the media about the people who supposedly grabbed the land at Langata Primary, said that there's someone behind those people. Do we know who that somebody is?
Well, I only know what we have in the register. We asked for the names of the people who own the land or the owner, and we got Airport View Housing Estate, and people wanted to know who is behind the Airport View Housing Estate. We went to the official registration center for business names and companies, and that's what we got.
So Airport View Housing Company is the first owner.
He's the owner. He's the only owner. He's one owner only, but they're directors within it.
But it is public land, so who gave it to them?
Well, that is what we have already said. We said, as far as we are concerned, that land belongs to Langata Road Primary School.
Yes, but who gave it to them?
So whatever happened is an allocation that was done after the school had already obtained its land. Yes. So due diligence was not done at that time.
But who gave it to them?
That's what I'm telling you. Who gives out land in this country? Is the Commissioner of Lands and Minister of Lands.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we going after the people who gave it to them?
Finally, after the dust has settled, of course, other law enforcement agencies now have to take over from us. Our work as a commission is to recover. That is what we are provided for in the law. Yes. And we did recover it, and we because we checked our records and we found that that parcel of land had already been given to Langata Primary School way back in 72 and 19, amalgamated with the other parcel in 1975.
Yes.
Thereafter, we have no other correspondence. At that time, no schools were being given title deeds, and I'm sure even now many schools do not have title deeds.
Yeah.
So the latest correspondence we have was a unified, or a letter of allotment unifying the original first parcel and then the playground, which playground is now the subject of this the discussion. So what did not happen was a title deed was never given thereafter, because even in those days people never thought, and they didn't even follow
that the land would be grabbed.
No, about title deeds. Okay, that is why last month we wrote a notice to the public that we want all schools to present to us their applications for letters of for title deeds, because we are aware that many schools, public schools in this country, do not have. And even today, many of them still do not have. So it cannot be an excuse that because they never went forward to take a title deed, then the land could be allocated to another entity.
All right. About the supposed owners of this land, or the people who claim that they own that playground, you've done your investigations, and as you said, that land squarely belongs to Langata Primary School. Are you recommending or asking that charges be preferred against these people?
And that's what I said. After we have done our recovery, I'm sure they'll go also try to fight their own way legally. We shall be represented in that legal battle, and then the law enforcement agencies, the others, will have to go and do their work.
All right. Something very interesting that you raised, something that perhaps a lot of people don't know, is that you asked public schools to come and present their documentation and then apply for title deeds. But what it looked like, especially after what happened on Monday, was the president standing up and ordering that public schools from now henceforth should be issued with title deeds. Do you report to the president as a National Land Commission?
As I've said, we had already said that.
Yes, but do you report to the president?
No, the law does not. We report to the president when we are giving our annual and Parliament when we are giving our annual report of what should have happened.
All right, another interesting incident, I'll bring you in a moment, Bwana Lumumba, is Lamu. You remember what happened in Lamu?
Yeah.
And the president ordered the cancellation of those titles.
Yeah.
Does he have that power?
Well, the president, I think that's that debate we discussed with you people. The president has a right to ask for anything to be done like that, because under the Constitution, the Commission shall investigate dispositions of public land upon a request by any person, an individual, a national government, a county government.
So it was a
and
request,
so on.
not an order.
Yeah, it was a request that we even if it is an order, it still amounts to the same. This is the head of state of this country, and if he thinks that there's something to be done elsewhere, somewhere, really, and it is within the law, okay, it is our function, it is our mandate for us to go and investigate all these things. Not that we are taking orders from anybody, but it is our mandate to investigate, and I think that is what we did. So I think there's this perception that people want to create, I think, about the fact that we only react to being told. These things we have been doing, like the dispositions, the revocation of titles and repossession of public land. We have done it every fortnight.
Okay.
From July 2013.
All right, let's just bring in Bwana Lumumba. Bwana Lumumba, you've been following the trends especially since August 27th, 2010, when the new constitution was promulgated, effectively bringing into law the mandate of the National Lands Commission. Is what Bwana Swazuri here is saying correct with respect to investigating titles and grants since that time?
I think it must be made very clear that the National Land Commission has been a major letdown. A major letdown because the new constitutional dispensation squarely placed management of public land in the National Land Commission. And that removed the precedence and removed any appointee other than the National Land Commission.
All right, just hold that thought for a moment before you carry on. Let's just bring something up onto our video wall about the roles of the National Land Commission versus the roles of the Ministry of Lands and Urban Development, so that we can try and see if there's some clarity there. Joseph, our director, there we go. The role of the National Land Commission, those are just three of the many roles that you have, Bwana Swazuri. The first one, of course, to manage public land on behalf of the national and county governments, recommend a national land policy, to advise the national government on a comprehensive program for the registration of title. And with respect to the ministry, which should be coming up, the roles seem quite similar. Before I come back to you, I'll just continue with you, Bwana Lumumba. In these roles, is there an overlap? Who should have that mandate? How is this working?
I think it is very clear. The Constitution does not give even any weight of a room to any other person in the National Land Commission. What happened was that after the new government was formed, an executive order number 2 of 2013 was decreed, where the management of public land was also given to the cabinet secretary in charge of land, housing, and urban development. That was a violation of the Constitution, as far as I care. It must be appreciated that the role of the National Land Commission is basically on oversight of a number of bodies, public agencies in charge of public land. And public land is in different institutions. Yeah. But we appreciate that hybrid nature of land governance. But we cannot appreciate that to date, the president is still ordering the commission around to do what they ought to do, and they have that powers by the Constitution. So especially when you look at the way things have been happening, I can only reduce in the trajectory 3 things that has been happening over the last 1 week. One, there has been an effort to regulate, to facilitate land grabbing, whereby the regulator behaves like he's not seeing so that the land grabber can go on. The second instance we have seen in the whole of last week was an effort to regulate, to minimize the negative impact, but basically to maximize the opportunity to land grab. The third scenario that was very interesting to all Kenyans is this ability of people to come up and stop rollback land grabbing, which was basically illustrated by the pupils of a school standing up with human rights activists to say enough is enough.
All right.
So the choice to the National Land Commission and to the government is to make that choice. Where do they fall in the trajectory?
All right, some aspersions have been cast there by Bwana Lumumba on the roles of the National Land Commission. I'd like you to respond to that first.
Well, as I've said, our roles are very, very clear. Like when you say that there is an overlap with the ministry, there's no overlap. One body is supposed to have to oversee policy. The other body is the implementation agency. The National Commission is just simply to implement and matters to do with the law regarding to land. And therefore, for us, we know our roles.
Yeah.
And we have tried in as much as possible to undertake those roles. But you know what has been happening because of the interference with the mandate for almost 1 year.
Yes.
This is not a new
And
it's not
that
news.
is why a lot of the people in the public would see that there's either an overlap or a complete misunderstanding of the roles of yourself.
There's
and
no, there's very,
Charity
you
Ngilu.
see, there's very little overlap. There are some roles which are purely for the commission, and these are the majority.
Yeah.
There are some roles which are purely for the ministry, and there are some roles which are complementary. We have to do them. They are shared roles.
All right.
So that one, the law is very clear. Of course, there's small gray areas of overlap and misunderstanding of the law. But if one was to seriously follow what is already written there,
Yeah.
the law and the spirit behind the law, should be no overlap at all.
All right. There's another aspersion that was cast by Bwana Lumumba
Yeah.
about the failure of the National Land Commission.
Well, it depends on which aspect you're talking about. As far as we are concerned, we are on course. Reforms are difficult to implement in the beginning, and you need all the necessary ingredients for you to do that. So there are some areas where it appears as if the Commission has not done much, but majority of the roles and functions that we have attempted each one of them.
Yeah.
Remember, in the first financial year, resources were not available for us. But in the second financial year, we have upped the government. Thanks a lot to the government. It has upped our resources.
Your finance.
So the basic startup functions of the commission, we have really managed to do. We have employed staff, we have a strategic plan, we have got offices, we have got all those. We have got those policies which are supposed to
So you
complement
feel
them.
like you're being successful.
We are being successful. There's
All right,
nothing
explain.
simple in the beginning.
All right. Explain your allegation about failure.
I think the biggest failure we are looking at is, let's just take this case study of the primary school. When you allocate land, you normally have in the registry what we call the correspondence file. Who applied for what? How did you process? Whom did you give? It would be foolhardy today, the commission, to tell us, as the commission is supposed to be in charge of the database on public land, that they are looking for who the grabbers are at the registrar of companies. I think that is a big failure on the commission. They are supposed to look at their registry and tell us from the correspondence who did they deal with, way back from 1972 to date.
Yeah.
Now that is a missing gap. We also know that in this idea of land grabbing, we have proxies. And this is not the first time we're hearing about proxies. We have had people putting up themselves as proxies for those in power. So the reason I'm saying they are failing, I think we saw kind of ritualistic behavior in this case. The commission going to the site accompanied by Ngilu, both of them behaving like they don't come from arid house, telling us they will go back and check. What were they trying to sideshow by appearing?
Interesting
At the
point,
same
yeah.
time, they are appearing, Ngilu is basically doing the political. So she's the one leading to tell us about the land when the commission is there. My view is the commission must be seen to lead. The commission is in charge of public land. Any failures, and this takes me back to the agreement they had under the presidency. They went to State House and we are told whether of a cup of tea, I hope there are no chicken eaten there since they're not in Britain. But essentially we came out with them telling us they're going to agree. They have an implementation technical committee which has analyzed issues about the management of public land, some of which compromising the position of the commission and the cabinet secretary. But nonetheless, they have not even appended their signatures to the agreement. The due date of the period they were given by the Supreme Court is ending on the 28th of January. So the two parties are going back to court. Now, if they have not agreed, it means that they are going to proceed with the court.
All right.
The other thing that the agreement they were making was basically an agreement to compromise the role of the commission. And I think that's unacceptable to us as stakeholders, and that is a failure for the commission. I can easily tell you that one of the commissioners that was very key in this negotiation has hibernated. He has gone missing also, as many Kenyans go missing, for the last period of December, because he's disappointed.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be told exactly what is going on. I think appearance of the chairman of the commission and the cabinet secretary is of no news to Kenyans.
All right, but you raised something interesting about nominees, and I want to seize on that. The public appetite for justice with respect to land grabbing has to do with that very same issue. We will see nominees and proxies put up to, say, own hundreds of thousands of acres of land, and yet we never really get to who the source of that, of the corruption around land grabbing is. Yet there is the Ndungu land report. There's the Jonjo Commission that looked into land as well. What is the National Land Commission doing to be able to implement the recommendations of those reports that were very explicit about who has been grabbing land?
First of all, let me respond to what my colleague has said here in taking the lead in this matter. I think I explained in the beginning, we went there as a commission, even without the ministry, on a Friday last. We went there, and after checking our records, we declared that land as school land, without the ministry or anything, without anybody telling us anything. We did that. But you see, we also have to check the records. The records that we have gave us those names.
And the point that he's making is that those records should be in your possession.
Fine. But you see, we explained all that. We explained that we are from our preliminary records. But then we have to go and confirm, and also give the other person a chance. That's what the law says. The same law he's talking about is the same law that gives those procedures, Section 14 of the National Land Commission Act. So after we went around, we saw the name of Airport View Housing. Now, if that is the name that is in the whatever title that they have, or the application that they have, what other name is the commission supposed to give? When there was so much pressure that we must name those people.
But, I mean, that's being a little too academic about this issue, considering.
Honestly, John. John, let me. You asked me to come and talk here.
Yes.
Why don't you give me space to talk?
I'll give you a space to talk, but I want you to respond to this. It's academic in the sense that we all know that proxies are used in this respect. There's other means that are at the disposal of the National Lands Commission to investigate who, not perhaps in this case, but in many other cases, who is behind these people who are put up as proxies.
Yeah, but then if the name that is there in the register and all the applications, the approvals, whatever, is the same name, honestly, you want us to put another name?
No.
So
Just
what do you do? And that, but that the first thing that we were supposed to do was, first of all, to restore the land to its original owner, which we said we have done that.
Okay.
The next step now is now to investigate and find out who actually is behind that.
All right. Point made. Now about the Ndungu land report, we have.
Yeah, we have.
It's explicit.
Yes.
About who is behind this.
Yes.
But yet it's been sitting there, perhaps not wholly because of you, but I mean it's been sitting there for over 10 years now, and you expressly have the mandate to keep on investigating.
Majority of those cases that we are now reviewing as public grants actually emanate from there. Majority of them. Okay. What is complicating that? Even when we get the records from there, is that majority of those people have also changed. They also disposed of those of those
Those pieces
properties.
of
Yes, those people. So now you have to go, first of all, find from the original, and then also go to find out who else did it go to. And because majority of them were under public agencies, we are getting a lot of cooperation from the interested public agencies, KWS, Kenya Forest Service, ADC, and so on. It's taking a bit long because records are also, even from those agencies themselves, records are not easily available.
All right.
But now we have we have agreed, and in most we have a long list of those ones that are about to be recovered. With the cooperation of the agencies, like
Right.
even National Museums of Kenya, we have got a list of the ones that they want to recover. The KWS I've mentioned, Kenya Forest Service, Kenya Prisons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very quickly, as we wind up, what are the timelines for these lists to come out and there be actual action, perhaps by other agencies?
You know our timeline is actually 5 years from the promulgation of the Constitution, which means 20. Should be, actually we have up to 2017. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
2010.
So it's actually this year.
Is this year? No. It's from the time the Land Act, 2012. It's 5 years. It's actually 2017.
Okay.
Within that time, we have to finalize that. That is why from Monday in Mombasa, we'll be in Mombasa. We have about 620 properties to look at. After that, we are going to Kisumu for another 400, like that, so that we finish. But
All right.
I hope we shall be given more time after 2017 to continue that.
Okay.
So the timeline is very, very simple. That we give people normally 2 to 3 weeks to show up. And if they don't, then a decision is made.
All right, Bwana Lumumba, your final comment, and I'll ask you to respond to a question that's being asked by Paulina Tieno. She's asking, public land accounts for just 20%. What about community land with respect to land grabbing? Maybe you can just answer around that so that we can wind up.
I think it is true to say that community land is essentially an endangered species because of the delayed law that is supposed to help the management of community land. And I think it is a very disappointing thing that such a major land, not only that we are talking about as a major land, is the land and all the natural resources that are going to spur this economy to development. And I think that raises a major concern. Remember that minerals, oils, and other natural resources are embedded in community land. And for that matter, they are managed as public tenure.
Yeah.
So in that case, that is an element which falls under the National Land Commission. My biggest fear about the National Land Commission going forward is that we are at a point of renewal of leases. The Commission is ill prepared to do this, and it's entertaining the old staff, the old hands of grabbers in the Ministry of Lands to help them. I think they have not vetted any staff they brought on board. And my fear is that the Directorate of Administration...
We have vetted the staff.
I think that vetting has not seen the public.
We took it in the papers. It was in the papers.
Whatever papers, putting in the papers is one story. Because the issue, what has happened and the cases we are seeing, which for me is a tip of the iceberg, we have 999-year leases, which were supposed to have been reduced 99 years. We have no list.
All right,
of those which has
we
been
need to
reduced.
wind up. So
Yet
let's
the renewal is on. So my only appeal is that the Commission must realize that the new dispensation removed the precedence from managing public land or managing land for that matter.
Yeah.
They only give the executive arm to help organs of the state to do work.
All right.
And one of those organs is the National Land Commission.
And the rest is vested in the National Land Commission. Thank you very much for joining us. Unfortunately, this is an issue that would unfold over hours and hours of conversation. But nonetheless, thank you very much for joining us in studio, Bwana Swazuri. I understand you have a plane to catch, so we'll try and wind it up as quickly as possible. Odenda Lumumba from the Kenya Land Alliance, thank you very much for joining us this evening as we discuss the question of land grabbing and the public land tenure. Now, we always have a point of the discussions that we have, even this one so important to the future and the security of Kenya. And Yvonne Okwara is standing by with what that point is. Yvonne.
Thank Thank you, John, for that discussion. Now, here are some points to consider in any discussion that has to do with land, and particularly with the events of the recent week. One is that the National Land Commission needs to show its independence. As Odenda Lumumba of the Kenya Land Alliance has said, the commission must be seen to lead, and indeed they are in charge of public land. Case in point, the commission should have a database on who landowners are, and in the recent case of the Langata Road Primary School saga, they shouldn't have had to go to the registrar of companies to figure out who the owners or who it was that was trying to grab the land in question. So that is point number one. And of course, the second point is taking a look at the back and forth and push and pull that has been there between the National Land Commission and the Ministry of Lands, is that the executive needs to allow the National Land Commission to carry out its mandate. Of course, we know about what's been happening and the efforts at bringing the two of them together. The 28th of January is that deadline. None of them have appended their signatures to that agreement. And so this would be important in terms of moving this discussion forward and moving together with a concerted effort in the fight against land grabbing in the country. And finally, perhaps it's time to change our culture as Kenyans, where land becomes the be-all, end-all. We all know, for all young people in Kenya today, you start your first job, and of course, the first thing you want to do is buy that quarter, that eighth, or that tenth of a plot, and that a lot of times wealth creation is linked to ownership of land. Perhaps we need to start thinking in a different direction, where land is not the be-all, end-all, and therefore does not form the basis of greed and fighting in this country, as we have seen happen since independence. That tonight is the point.